कस्तूरी तिलकं ललाटपटले वक्षस्थले कौस्तुभं नासाग्रे वर्मौक्तिकं करतले वेणुकरे कङ्कणम् सर्वांगे हरिचन्दनं सुललितं कंठे च मुक्तावली गोपास्त्री परिवेष्टितो विजयते गोपाल चूड़ामणि वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंस चाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वर गुरु साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरुवे नमः तस्मै श्री गुरुवे नमः. Reading from Srimad Bhagwat Mahapuran. We have begun canto number 8. So I had sent one more slide which is previous to this. Yeah. So these are the first 9 chapters of the 8th canto. Up to canto 7, we learned about the creation, why Srimad Bhagwat Mahapuran was written by Vedavyas, the story of Parikshit Maharaj, how he offended the sage and how he sat to listen Bhagwat Mahapuran. Then the conversation between Sut Goswami and Shaunakadik rishis about the personalities who were born from the meditation of Brahmaji, Manas Putra, and we learnt about the cosmology, all the planetary positions in the universe, and we learnt about the hellish planets, and then the story of Ajamil was there to show that even if a person has fallen down, he can still rise by the grace of God. So the topics of Sarg, Visarg, Asthanam, Poshnam and Uti were covered in these chapters. And the 8th chapter is about Manvantar. Manvantar means the time frame in which the Manu resides in the universe and he controls, he is the key personality in that time frame. So there are 14 Manvantars in one day of Brahma, which is called a Kalp, and each Manvantar lasts for 71 Chaturyugi. So it's a very long period, 30 crores, 67 lakhs and 20,000 years. But the very fascinating point is that in the beginning of the day of Brahmaji, the first Manu appears, that is Swayambhu Manu. And Brahmaji also has this Manas Putra. For example, we have the 7 rishis, Atri, Angira, Pulastya, Marichi, Kratu, Pulaha, Vashisht. These are the Saptrishis in the first Manvanta. So the son of Marichi in the first Manvantar is Kashyap Rishi. And Kashyap Rishi gets married to 13 wives who are the daughters of Daksh Prajapati. Daksh Prajapati is also the sons of Brahmaji. So Those 13 wives of Kashyap Rishi are Diti, Aditi, Danu, Yamini, Patangi, and different forms of creation were born from these wives. That is why the popular version is, if you don't know your origin, consider yourself to be the descendant of Kashyap Rishi, because he is the main progenitor. Even different species like the Sarp and the Nag, they were born from a wife of Kashyap ji who is called Kadru. The insects and the flies, they were born from the wife of Kashyap Rishi called Patangi. Similarly, Yamini, similarly, in a different Manvantar, the wife called Ila. Now, this is another very strange phenomenon that Kashyap ji will live through, it appears throughout the Kalp. But other personalities will appear and disappear. So, Daksh Prajapati was there in the first Manvantar, and then he also appeared later. So, this is not easy to understand, but we shouldn't get too worried about these complexities. Slowly, we should understand that how the key knowledge points are there in the Bhagwat Mahapuran about the creation. For example, everything emanates from Lord Krishna, so we should know that Lord Krishna, then Chaturvyu, then Narayan, then Mahavishnu. Another name for Mahavishnu is Narayan, and then the second Vishnu, Garbhodakshai Vishnu, and then Chirodakshai Vishnu, and then Manuji, the five children, Uttanpad, Priyavrat, Akuti, Devhuti, and Prasuti. And then the marriage of the rishis with different personalities, they contribute to the growth of the population. And we should know about the Chandravansh and the Surya Vansh, because the Manasputra of Brahmaji, Atri Rishi, his son is Som, the moon god, whose son is Budh, Mercury, whose son is Pururva, who gets married to Urvashi. And then the lineage continues. Yayati, Yadu, then Vrishni, then Sursen, Vasudev, all these leading to Sri Krishna. So that is why Sri Krishna is called Chandravanshi. And for the Suryavanshi, we should know Lord Brahma, his son Manu, and Manu's son Vivaswan, sun god. Manu's daughter, Aditi, who gets married to Kashyap ji, and their son Vivaswan, sun god, his son Ikshwaku, and in that lineage Harishchandra, Khatwang, Anshuman, Sagar, Bhagirath, then Dilip, Raghu, Aj, Dashrath, and then Sri Ramchandra ji. So we should not only know about the geographical constitution of the cosmos, we should also know about these personalities. Then Bhagwat Mahapuran will become so much more blissful. Today we shall learn about the different Manvantars. There are 14 Manvantars in current day of Brahmaji, which is Shwet Varaha Kalp. 6 Manvantars are over. First Manu, Swayambhu Manu. Second Manu, Swarochis. Then Raivat. Then Tamas. Then Uttam. Then Raivat. Then Chakshus. And now the current 7th Manvantar is Vaivaswat. After that, there will be 7 more Manvantars. Savarni, Daksh Savarni, Brahma Savarni, and so on. And at the end, the last Manvantar, and in the last Manvantar, the last Kali Yuga, and Kalki Avatar will take place, and then the Yug will change to Satyug. Sorry, Kalki will appear in this Chaturyugi only, but every Chaturyugi the personalities get repeated. So with that, we shall move into the reading of the text. But before that, let us do our bhajan, which is Man kyo nahi hari gun ga raha? Oh my mind, why do you refuse to sing the glory of Shyam Sundar? Yah jag hai ek bhool bhulaiya, kyun tu dhokha kha raha? Why are you entangling yourself? Why are you entangling yourself in the maze of material desires? Why are you falling into the trap of the powerful demonesses Bhukti and Mukti? Bhukti means getting attached to the material world, not realizing today I'm finding this to be very happy situation, very blissful situation, but tomorrow when this situation vanishes, I'll become equally miserable. So if we don't get attached to the material, attachments, then we would have ensured that we will not get distress when these situations change. So that is why bhukti is denounced. Mukti is the Sayujya Mukti or Kaivalya Mukti, where the soul merges with the Supreme. That is also no good. So we have to avoid both bhukti and mukti. Bhakti is the best, in which neither you merge into the Lord and lose your independence, personality, nor you are going through these ups and downs of bhukti, one day very happy, another day very miserable. When you are attached to God, every moment is blissful. Even the material consumption will be more blissful, will be infinitely more blissful if we are connected to God. So bhakti is such a foolproof system. Then spouse, children, and wealth are like a recurring fever. Why are you accepting them? O foolish mind, why are you happily drinking the poison of the sense objects? So when newcomers listen about this, oh, this verse says that don't also get attached to their spouse, the children, relatives, etc., they get shocked. How is it that the Shastras are teaching like that? But isn't that the reality? You get too attached to your children, and the children have their own independence, have their own lives. And when they leave you, you become miserable. So if you maintain your relationship in such a way that you do your duties and you give them the independence and you remain connected in a very spiritual way, then that is not going to cause distress. So it's very logical, but we need to reflect on it. The last two lines, O foolish mind, why are you happily drinking the poison of the sense objects? We can see from our own life experience. Material objects and people appeared very sweet in the beginning, but slowly the graph changed unless the person was spiritually connected. Everyone showed their true color, and then we said, no, this attachment was no good for me. So the verdict is also very clear from our own experience. Unless a person is spiritually connected, he can never bring happiness to anyone. Similarly, objects have limited, quantity of bliss. We consume something, some food item, and then the happiness starts reducing. So the permanent happiness and infinite quantity of happiness is only spiritual. Last line says, Shri Kripalu, worship of Shyam Sundar without delay, as life may end very soon. मन क्यों नहीं हरि गुण गा रहा, मन क्यों नहीं, मन क्यों नहीं हरि गुण गा रहा, मन क्यों नहीं हरि गुण गा रहा, मन क्यों नहीं जग है एक भूल भुलैया, यह जग है एक भूल भुलैया, यह जग है एक भूल भुलैया, क्यों तू धोखा खा रहा मन, मन क्यों तू धोखा खा रहा, मन खा रहा धोखा खा रहा, मन क्यों नहीं हरि गुण गा रहा, मन क्यों नहीं हरि गुण गा रहा, मन। भुक्ति मुक्ति है प्रबल पिशाचिनी, भुक्ति मुक्ति है प्रबल पिशाचिनी, भुक्ति मुक्ति है प्रबल पिशाचिनी, क्यों इनमें भरमा रहा, मन क्यों इनमें भरमा रहा, भरमा रहा भरमा रहा, मन क्यों नहीं हरि गुण गा रहा, मन क्यों नहीं, मन क्यों नहीं हरि गुण गा रहा। If anybody wants to sing, please raise your hand. सुत वित नारिन त्रिविधति जारिन, 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 क्यों इनको अपना रहा मन, मन क्यों इनको अपना रहा, अपना रहा अपना रहा, मन क्यों नहीं हरि गुण गा रहा, मन क्यों नहीं हरि गुण गा रहा। इन इंद्रिन विषयन विष पीमन, इन इंद्रिन विषयन मन पीमन, इन इंद्रिन विषयन विष पीमन, इन इंद्रिन विषयन विष पीमन, क्यों इतना हर्षा रहा, हर्षा रहा हर्षा रहा, मन क्यों नहीं हरि गुण गा रहा, मन क्यों नहीं, मन क्यों नहीं हरि गुण गा रहा। नर तनु पाय कृपालु भजन कर, नर तनु पाय कृपालु भजन कर, नर तनु पाय कृपालु भजन कर, यह जीवन अब जा रहा मन, मन यह जीवन अब जा रहा, अब जा रहा, अब जा रहा, मन क्यों नहीं हरि गुण गा रहा, मन क्यों नहीं, मन क्यों नहीं हरि गुण गा रहा, मन, मन क्यों नहीं हरि गुण गा रहा, मन क्यों नहीं, मन क्यों नहीं हरि गुण गा रहा। बोलिए श्रीमद सद्गुरु सरकार की जय, श्रीमद युगल सरकार की जय। जय जय श्री राधे, जय जय श्री राधे, जय जय श्री राधे। Our koti koti pranam to the lotus feet of Sri Hari and Sri Guru. Our koti koti pranam to Swami Mukundanand ji. My humble pranam to each one of you. And now we shall read from the 8th canto about the first 4 manvantars. And let us read the slides. Let me read a couple of slides. If some of you would like to read, please raise your hands. Chapter 8, 1, Canto 8, Chapter 1, first 4 Manvantars. King Parikshit, after hearing about the descents of Swayambhu Manu, he asked Sukdev ji to tell about other 6 Manus, and especially with regard to details and acts of Sri Hari in each Manvantar. Accordingly, Sukdev Goswami starts explaining the other 6 Manvantars. We are currently in the 7th Manvantar. The Lord had blessed Akuti and Devhuti, Swayambhu Manu's daughters, by being born as their sons as Lord Yajna and Lord Kapil respectively. The first Manu, that is Swayambhu Manu, fed up of material life, he retired to the forest with his spouse Satrupa to practice severe austerities for 100 years. He stood on one toe on the banks of Sunanda river and said the following prayer daily. It is so strange that an individual jiva does not know him, but he knows every jiva. He is the one who lends consciousness to all with no beginning, middle, or end, and sustaining all. So the jiva should live upon what is given to him without striving for it. He is the all-pervading Brahma, the supreme reality equal to all. The divine residing inside a jiva as a controller within him is unborn himself, and through his creative energy, Maya is also known as Shakti and Shaktiman. After the act of creation, he remains actionless. So let's pause for a while and reflect upon the nuggets of knowledge in this slide. So once again, in every day of Brahma, there will be 14 Manvantars. So now we are reading about the first 4 Manvantars. The first Manu is Swayambhu Manu. He has 3 daughters, Akuti, Prasuti, and Devhuti, and 2 sons, Uttanpad and Priyavrat. In the lineage of Priyavrat, we learnt about his son Agnidra, his son Nabhi, his son Rishabh, his son Bharatji, the 9 Yogeshwars, etc. In the lineage of Priyavrat, we learnt about in the lineage of Prasuti. In the lineage of Prasuti, we learned about the husband of Prasuti, who is Daksh Prajapati, and the children were Sati, Diti, and Aditi. Sati was married to Lord Shiv, and Devhuti was married to Kardam Rishi, and in that lineage, it was noted that the Lord appeared as Lord Kapil in the form of Lord Kapil. So that is what is mentioned here. Lord Kapil was born as a son of Devhuti and Kardam Rishi, and the third daughter Akuti was married to Ruchi Prajapati, and their child was Yajna Bhagwan. So these are the 2 avatar this slide mentions. And also it talks about the Supreme Brahma, which is situated in our heart as Paramatma. The same Brahma is called, is there in every atom of the universe, and the same Supreme entity, he appears in different forms like Ram, Krishna. Let's move to the next slide. So the sages too first perform action towards him alone and then withdraw from actions through liberation, just as the Almighty engages in action but does not get attached to that action. So too a person who follows this never suffers bondage. So I take refuge in the Supreme Lord, who despite doing acts is egoless and above all desires. He thus acts as a role model for all human beings to follow, for he is the protector and upholder of dharma. While uttering the prayers non-stop, the first Manu was continuously attacked by demons and augurs. Sri Hari, in the form of Lord Yajna, accompanied with his sons known as gods Yamas, slayed the demons and ruled this Manvantar as Lord Indra. The first Manvantar was presided over by Swayambhu Manu. Devatas were known as Yamas. Lord Yagya acted as Indra. Saptrishis comprised of Marichi, Atri, Angira, Pulha, Kratu, Pulastya, and Vashisht. The second Manu is Agniputra Swarochish. Dyuman, Sushen, and Rochishman were chief among his sons. Indradev was known as Lord Rochan, and Tusita, Tosha, Pratosha, Santosha, Bhadra, Shanti, Idaspati, Idma, Kavi, Vibhu, Swaha, and Sudev were the group of gods. So another thing we should know that in each Manvantar, the Manu will change, the Saptarishis will change, the Manu Putras will be different, the Devatas, chief Devatas will be different, the Indra, the post is Indra, that will change, and the Lord will appear as a special avatar. So that is what is described in the first Manvantar. These were the Saptrishis, these were the chief Devatas, and the second Manu is also described, who was Swarochish, son of Agniputra. Let me read one more slide and then we hand over to the participants.
Rajeshwari, I think in this we are only covering the chapter 1, so we have the last slide with us.
Oh, okay. This is the only slide, is it?
No, this is the only slide, but
The third slide. Okay, let Silaji read the third slide.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't unmute, sorry. Vashishtaputra Urja, Kashyaputra Stambha, Pran, Brihishpati, Atri, Atriputra Datta, Dattatreya, Chavan were the Sapt Rishis. Sage Vedasira and his wife Tusita gave birth to the Lord as Lord Vibhu. The Lord was a bachelor, and 88,000 sages followed the Lord and practiced austerities as bachelors. Third Manvantar, Uttam, son of Priyavrat, was the third Manu. Pavan, Srinjay, Yagnahotra were his sons. Other sons of sage Vashisht and Pramad were the Saptarishis. The Satyas, Bhadras, Ved Shrutas were the presiding gods. Lord Dharma and his wife Sunrita, is that correct, Rajeshji?
Yeah.
Had the Lord being born to them as Lord Satyasen. He with Satyajit, Indra slayed the Yaksh and Rakshas, who were evil and enemies of other beings. Fourth Manvantar, Uttam's brother Tamas was the Manu. Prithu, Khyati, Nar, Ketu, and others were his 10 sons. The Satyaks, the Haris, and Viras were the three group of gods, with Trishika as Indra. Jyotirdham, Prithu, Shukracharya, Kavya, Chaitra, Agni, Dhanad, and Pivara were the Swaptarishis. Vedruti group, born of sage Vidhutri, were devatas who restored the Vedas back to the original glory by retaining in memory. The Lord was born as Sri Hari to sage Hari Medha and his wife Harini. The Lord then saved Gajendra. King Parikshit, who was fasting and only wanted to listen to the Lord's glories from the exalted sage Sukhdev, asked Sukhdevji to narrate the Gajendra Moksham. Sukhdevji was thrilled with this query and joyously started telling the story. Radhe Radhe.
Right. So we are reading about the four Manus. As I said, there are 14 Manus in one day of Brahmaji. So 6 Manus, those reigns are over, and now the 7th Manu is ongoing. In the 7th Manu, which is the current Vaivaswat Manu, 27 Chaturyugis are over and 28th Chaturyugi is going on. In 28th Chaturyugi, the Satyug, the Treta, and Dwapar Yug are over, and Kali Yug has completed about 5,200 years. That is the current situation. So after 28 Chaturyugi, there will be another, how many? About 43 Chaturyugis, and then this Kalp will end. and then the new, sorry, then this Manvantar will end, and then the new Manvantar will begin, which I said is the Manvantar of Savarni. Savarni, then Daksh Savarni, Brahma Savarni, Rudra Savarni. Those 7 more Manus will appear. So, and in each Manvantar, again I repeat, there will be the new Saptrishis. Sometimes the Saptrishis may be the same. For example, Vashishtha Muni and Atri Muni are the Saptrishis in Swayambhu Manu's time, and they also are the Saptrishis in Vaivasvat Manu. Similarly, some personalities will continue. To me, it appears Kashyap ji has continued from the first Manvantar, but looks like Aditi and Diti are born and reborn. I'm not very sure, but this is how I'm researching and gaining the knowledge. So we talked about first Manu, which is Swayambhu Manu, the second Manu. We spoke about Swarochis, who is the son of Agni, the fire god. And the third Manu is Uttam. He is the son of Priyavrat. And as you know, Priyavrat is the son of first Manu, and his brother is Uttanpad. So third Manu is Uttam, and the fourth Manu is his brother Tamas. So in the third Manu, Lord Dharma and his wife Sunrita had the Lord being born to them as Lord Satyashen. So he with Satyajit slayed the Yaksha and Rakshas who were evil and enemies of other beings. So in every Manvantar, Lord will take a special form, and this is the form named Lord Satyashen. In the fourth Manvantar, which is the Manvantar of Uttam's brother Tamas, he was the Manu, and Prithu, Khyati, Nar, Ketu, and others were his 10 sons. In this Manvantar, the Lord was born as Sri Hari, and his parents were Harimed and wife Harini. And in this Manvantar, Lord Hari saved Gajendra. Gajendra is the king of the elephants, and he was attacked by the crocodile Gra. So this is the story in the fourth Manvantar. When Sukdev Goswami narrates this story to Parikshit Maharaj, Parikshit ji gets curious and wants to know about this episode of Gajendra and Gra. So the next few chapters will be about Gajendra Moksham. How Gajendra, who was the king Indradyum in his previous life, had been cursed by Agastya Rishi. For no fault of his, he had been cursed, and then he had become elephant. Similarly, Gra is actually the king of Gandharvas called Huhu, and Gandharvas are very much expert in singing, and he was also cursed because of some offenses, not intentionally but unintentionally carried for Sage Durvasa. And Sage Durvasa is always a very irascible person. He gets angered very fast. So he cursed Gandharva Huhu. He had become Gra, the crocodile. And how this crocodile attacked Gajendra will be the story in the next 3-4 chapters. And these stories are very much transcendental, and regular recitation of these stories cleanse our antakaran, our inner self, and are very, very auspicious for our soul. So we should relish these stories. We are now only getting a glimpse of the story to follow from this description. Let's see the next slide. Okay, so next slide is the takeaway, where I have quoted from Bhagwat Gita. If anybody wants to read and recite, is most welcome. Otherwise, let me just recite the shlok. Ananyaschintayanto mam ye jana paryupasate tesham nityabhiyuktanam yogakshemam vahamyaham. Translation: There are those who always think of me and engage in exclusive devotion to me. To them whose minds are always absorbed in me, I provide what they lack and preserve what they already possess. So here, the Lord has made such a open contract with the devotees. The Lord says in Bhakti Marg, you really don't have to do anything because the Lord becomes the doer, the Lord becomes the protector, the Lord becomes the provider. So he gives an open contract to the Ananya Bhakt, the exclusive devotee. Exclusive devotee means the loyal devotees who don't falter, who don't say, no, Krishna is not helping me, so I'll go to some other god. His loyalty is unshaken, even if they are tested, right? So even when they are tested, their loyalty does not shake. They don't move from one god to another. They have the belief that Ram and Krishna and all other avatars of God are the same. They don't differentiate. They know one has a different role, another has a different role, but they all know they are God. Such a devotee is called Ananya Bhakt, which is exclusive devotee. Such a devotee, the Lord says, Yogakshema Mahamyaham. Whatever you need, I will provide you. And whatever you don't have, I will, whatever you don't have, I will provide you. And whatever you have, I will preserve, I will protect. There's a very famous story about Pandit Jagannath Mishra of Orissa, who had a doubt about this shlok and he had cut this shlok and he changed Yogakshemam Mahamyaham to Yogakshemam Dadamyaham. He thought that the printer has made a mistake, the translator has made a mistake. Why Lord is telling, I will personally come and do the work for you, help you, do everything for you. Why does he have to come personally? He can always ask someone to carry out the work. So he used to be a very scholarly person. So he cut this line in red ink and changed Vahamyaham to Dadamyaham. And then he was a very poor Brahmin. He has to go to the banks or the households and get the bhiksha for his livelihood. So he went to bathe in the river, and then after some time, a small boy came to his house. His wife opened the door. She sees a very young boy, 10, 11 years old or so, and he was carrying a big gunny sack. And in the gunny sack, there were kitchen utensils and oven and food, vegetables and the grains, etc. And the boy looked very frightened, and there were some marks on his back as if somebody has beaten him from a stick. So the wife of Pandit Jagannath Mishra was very much moved to see that. She inquired, who did this to you? Who beat you? Why are you carrying such a heavy gunny sack? So he said, I was at the river bank and your husband was very angry. He asked me to carry this gunny sack to the house. And when I was going, he said, move fast. And he beat me up. He was very rough with me. So the wife had, gotten very angry. How my husband can do that? How can he beat such a innocent boy, such a nice boy? And she offered to, give him some water, etc. and welcome him in the house. And after some time, when Pandit Jagannath Mishra came, the wife was very angry. Why did you beat this boy up? Now he was equally puzzled. Why my wife is talking like this? And so she said, what do you mean? Look at this boy. When they saw there was no boy, the boy had already vanished. Jagannath Mishra thought for a while, then he recalled the incident in the morning when he had cut the lines. When he went to his room, his study room, and he opened the Bhagwat Gita, where he had changed Vahamyaham to Dadamyaham, he saw the lines had been wiped out. The cut marks were not there. Then he realized the validity of this verse, and he regretted that my wife had the fortune of seeing the Lord, but I couldn't. Just to say that not a word in the scripture is stated, without the validity. We have not developed sufficient sentiment, sufficient sadhana to appreciate it. But if we see the devotees, so many devotees took to God and they got their highest destination. Today morning I was reading about the Mohammedan poet Ras Khan, who was a great devotee of Sri Krishna. His poetry is so beautiful. He writes, Manus ho to vahi ras khan, बसों ब्रज गोकुल गांव के ग्वारन, जो पशु हो तो कहाँ बस मोरे, जो पशु हो तो कहाँ बस मेरो, चरौनित नंद के धेनु मंझारन, पाहन हो तो वही गिरि को, जो धर यो कर छत्र पुरंदर धारन, जो खग हो तो बसेरो करो, मिली कालिंदी कूल कदम्ब के डारन. This is the pinnacle of love. How Ras Khan Kavi, poet, though Mohammedan by birth, he has developed so much of love for Sri Krishna. He is describing all this. That if I have to be born as a human, I would like to be a cowherd boy and graze the cow in the Braj. If I become an animal, I would like to be a cow who grazes in that field. If I have to become a mountain, I should be the mountain which Sri Krishna lifted on his finger to protect the rain from Indra. And if I become a bird, I should be sitting on the top of the Kadam tree. Then he says, Shesha Mahesha Dinesha Ganesha Suresha Hu Jahi Nirantar Gave Jahi Anadi Akhanda Acheda Jahi Anadi Ananta Akhanda Acheda Abeda Suveda Batave नारद ते सुत प्यास रचे पचि हारे तऊ पुनि पार न पावे ताही अहीर की छोहरियां छछिया भरी छाछ पे नाच नचावे. Sesh, that is the Sheshnag, Anant Sesh, Balramji, Sesha, Ganesh, we all know, Suresh, the Lord Vishnu, Mahesh, the Lord Shiv, Dinesh, the Lord. No one can sufficiently complete the glories of the Lord. The glories of the Lord are infinite. They are all the forms of God, but they also cannot complete. And Jahi Anant Akhand Abhed Ached Suved Batave, the Vedas are calling such entity as Anant, unfathomable, infinite, etc., etc. नारद ते सुख व्यास रचे पची हारी तहु पुनि पार न पावे. No matter how much Naradji is writing and Vedavyas is writing, they can never complete the description. But the same God is willing to dance for a little chach, the milk, the makhan and the chach, which the gopis are offering to him. This is the love which Ras Khan is displaying. Let us also discover the bhakti in our heart. Over to you, Vijay Bhaiya, for some interactions.
Yeah, thank you so much, Bhaiya, for saying this whole poetic version of bhakti. And I mean, I know like this topics like Manvanta topic is very much kind of in detail, and we have to go through all these different versions of all the Manvanta. But I'm looking forward for the next, which is like Gajendra Moksha. So with that, let's open up for any questions or anybody has any kind of feedback or questions related to their spiritual journey. They can raise their hand and they can start asking. I see some new people also joining today. Alekha ji, and then Veena ji. So if anybody of you wants to introduce yourself, and if you have any questions, you can just unmute and you can talk a few words. I see Chitra ji also joining today.
So, if no one has any feedback to offer or any questions to raise, let us go back to the different
I do have
chapters.
a question, please, Bhaiya.
Yeah, yes.
Rather a comment. This is this story about Sri Jagannath Ji Mishra and his and the Lord coming to his house on and then correcting. He realized his mistake that Lord's words are Lord's words, and you can't just willy nilly change them. That is so good, so amazing. I had heard it from Maharajji once, but hearing it again is always very useful to know. Thank you so much, and thanks for yet again another excellent session. Thank you. The one question I have is about these rishis changing every manvanta. I don't quite understand that, but I don't have to understand that. I just have to accept.
Yes, because we have all heard about Rishi Vashisht, Rishi Bharadwaj, Rishi Gautam, Rishi Jamdagni, Rishi Angira, Rishi Atri. Who are these people who have so much of power? There is one Rishi who, drank all the water of the ocean. I think that was Agastya Rishi. Then Jahanu Rishi drank all the water of the river Ganga, and that is why Ganga is also called Janvi. Vishwamitra ji created a new heaven for Trishanku. Look at their power. Bhrigu Rishi did so many leelas. So these rishis are not ordinary rishis. They are the Manasputra of Brahmaji. First of all, we may not be able to understand how Brahmaji is created from the Hiranyagarbha energy of Vishnuji. The golden egg appears, which gets split into two parts, and the lotus sprouts, and Brahmaji appears. All this is unfathomable with our material mind. We can never understand. Similarly, the creation, how the physical creation takes place from Prakriti to Mahatattva to Ahankar to Panch Tanmatra to Panch Mahabhut, and then with the combination of Sattvic, Rajasic, Tamasic, all these species are created, which we just discussed, that the progenitors, the Prajapatis are there who are having the task to populate the universe. And Kashyap ji had 13 wives, and then from those unions, we have the plants, we have the birds, we have the animals, we have the cows. Survi was one of the wives, and the children of Survis are the different types of cows. Similarly, Yamini, Patangi, and of course Diti, Danu, and Aditi. Aditi's sons are called Adityas. So, who are the Adityas? The chief Adityas are Vivaswan, the sun god, and Vaman Dev, Indra. All these are the sons of Aditi from Kashyap ji. But Kashyap ji has another wife called Diti, from whom he had the son Hiranyaksh, Hiranyakashipu, and a daughter called Singhika. Hiranyakashipu's son is Prahlad, and his son is Virochan, and his son is Banasur. So there is no limit to all these expansions and all these stories. And that is why God, no one can understand. In Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says, Name vidu surganaha prabhavam na maharshayaha aham adirhi madhyanam. So he says that neither the Devata, the celestial gods, nor the rishis, the great rishis, know my origin, because they themselves don't know what is their source. If the great rishis, which we just spoke about, cannot understand God, we are the novices, we are the rookies, the very early devotees. So we have about a few minutes. Vijay Bhaiya, you would like to discuss something, Vikas ji, and anyone else, to keep the conversation and the interactions going, and then we can.
Yeah, probably like Smita, did you have any questions, or Aparna?
राधे राधे भैया। हर बार की तरह इस बार का भी सेशन बहुत ही अच्छा था। अभी कुछ ऐसा सवाल है नहीं मेरे पास, इसलिए मैं कुछ नहीं पूछना चाह रही। भैया सिर्फ एक रिक्वेस्ट था, जो शुरुआती दिनों में हम लोगों को आपने जैसे अभी हमारे पास बहुत सारे नए लोग भी आ गए हैं, तो बहुत सारे ऐसे टर्म आप यूज करते होंगे जो इन लोगों ये लोग अभी तक उसको समझ नहीं पाए हैं, जो कि हम लोगों ने पास्ट में आपसे सुना है। जैसे आप भौगोलिक स्थिति के बारे में बहुत सारी बातें बताए थे, या वो सब काफी रुचिकर था, और बहुत ही आपके सारी जो ये कहानियां आगे बढ़ती हैं उसमें उन सभी का बार बार यूज होता है। तो एक दो बार आप अगर उन सब को भी ब्रीफली फिर से बताते हुए आगे बढ़ेंगे तो सबको ज्यादा आनंद आएगा, मुझे ऐसा लगता है। तो जस्ट एक मेरा ये रिक्वेस्ट था भैया।
बहुत अच्छा, सचमुच हम लोग उसको बार बार उसको लाएंगे, उस विषय को। जैसे अभी आपने कहा कॉस्मोलॉजी, सो ये हमारा जो ब्रह्मांड है जिसकी हमने चर्चा की, लॉर्ड ब्रह्मा इज द क्रिएटर. So how big is the Brahmand? You know, we had a lot of discussions about it, that it is 4 billion miles long. So it is huge, but this is one of the smallest Brahmands. There are infinite number of such Brahmands. So we are talking about only a few thousand kilometers when we talk about our earthly planet. So compared to that, if we say 4 billion miles, we cannot even imagine how large is this. So there are different dweep, which Smita ji is talking about: Jambu Dweep, Palaksh Dweep, Kronch Dweep, Pushkar Dweep, and there is Sumeru Parvat, and then all these stars are there, nakshatras are there, the Dhruv Tara is there, Saptrishis are there, Ursa Major, which is also called the Big Dipper. What is the significance and how these have come about? And on the top, we have the different lokas: Bhulok, Bhuvarlok, Swarglok, Mahalok, Janalok, Tapalok. And in the lower planetary systems, we have Atal, Vital, Sutal, Talatal, Rasatal, Patal, and at the end we have 28 types of hellish planets. So I just gave a brief glimpse, and also you know, if you have access to the old videos, which are all there in the yes, so all the recordings are available. So the newcomers will be requested to see some of them, and then they can get those nuggets of knowledge from there. Thank you.
Yeah. Anybody else has a question? So if not, then probably Prayesh, we have to. If we don't have
Rajesh
it, if
Bhaiya, I
you,
have a suggestion. If all the
Yeah.
newcomers could kindly join, or Vikas Bhaiya or Vijay Bhaiya would add all of them to the WhatsApp group and gradually send them, if they would like to, that is, all the recordings slowly, so they can sort of look at them, hear them, and then proceed forwards, but not all in at one go, because then they'll get overwhelmed. That's what my feeling is.
So I have sent the link here also for the recording of previous session.
Thank you, Bhaiya. Thank you, Vikas Bhaiya.
Yeah. So just to wrap up, because we have not yet completed the 1 hour, so I thought I can just give some background for the next session. So today we covered the description of the Manvantar. In the next session, we will talk about the battle between Grah, the crocodile, and Gajendra, the king of the elephant, and how Gajendra fights that battle for 1000 years. This has happened in a different yug where all these are possible, but still he couldn't overcome the strength of the crocodile. He couldn't save himself. Just imagine, Gajendra was so happy. He was moving about in such a blissful situation. He was accompanied by his family members, his children, the she elephants, and they entered the water and they were splashing water on one another. And then this crocodile changed the entire situation. So this is the situation in the material world, that situations can change very drastically. But when he surrendered to God, and because he had such a past legacy, the Lord appeared. He, in his miserable condition, still he took out the garland and offered to the Lord, and Lord came forward and accepted. Then he took out his Sudarshan Chakra and slayed the crocodile. And lo and behold, the elephant, we found out later, became king Indradyumna, because this was the curse, and the crocodile turned into Huhu the Gandharva. And then in the next chapter, how Gajendra did the glories of the Lord, that is very beautiful. And after that, the story will go into the Samudra Manthan, the churning of the ocean. In the Gaj and Gra story, the Lord appeared as Lord Hari. That was the avatar in the fourth Manvantar. And in the sixth Manvantar, which is sixth or fifth Manvantar, the Lord will appear as Kachap. He will took he will take the form of the tortoise, because he is going to support the Mandrachal Parvat, and the Samudra, the ocean will be churned. So that is a very fascinating story in one Manvantar, Samudra Manthan. In Samudra Manthan, the poison came out, which Lord Shiv drank. It was stopped in his neck, and the neck became blue. That is why Lord Shiv is called Nilkant. Then from the Manthan, Lakshmi ji emerged, Ucha Shaiva, the divine horse, emerged, elephant Airavat emerged, and Lakshmi ji also emerged from the Samudra Manthan, and also Lord Dhanvantri appeared with the pot of Amrit. So all these fascinating stories we will learn in this canto. And the other avatar of the Lord will be the avatar of Mohini, how Lord Shiva gets deluded by the Mohini form of Vishnu. And the last avatar will be the Vaman avatar, how Vaman Maharaj will measure the all the Brahmand with his 3 steps from King Bali. So that's a glimpse for the next session. Now we can hand over to Vijay Bhaiya for the conclusion.
yeah, so uh, hopefully, like we'll see all these participants, the new participants, next time also, and let's continue to listen to the Canto 8. We have lots of kind of transcendental stories by Lord, and most of the avatars will cover in this canto. So I'll probably request all of the participants to join don't miss the upcoming sessions, and take all the benefits of Srimad Bhagavatam. With that, we can close the session.
बोलिए श्रीमद
Srimad
सद्गुरु
Satguru
सरकार
Sarkar
की
ki
जय, श्रीमद
jai.
युगल सरकार की
की
जय।
जय।
जय जय श्री
Jai
राधे,
राधे
जय जय
जय
श्री
श्री
राधे,
राधे
जय जय
जय
श्री
श्री
राधे।
Radhe.
राधे राधे।
Radhe Radhe.
राधे राधे।